Hi crafty folks, Amy here, and I have a fun technique with some 3D embossing folders and a stencil. Now this is a brand new stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. It's from the March release and it's called Paint Strokes. It's a 6x9 and I am obsessed with it. It is so cool and versatile. And I'm going to use it with this spa collection of Catherine Pooler inks. This is the Paradise Found collection. I have my blending brushes and some A2 size card panels and a couple of fabulous altenew embossing 3D folders. So I will link all the products that I used in the video description box below, but here's pictures of the cards that we're going to make today. I'm going to walk you through how I did it. But you can see that amazing dimension, and I'm so pleased with how these turned out. So to start, I have these A2 size panels, and I'm just using my Wendy Vecchi station tool and some post-it tape just to kind of mask off where I don't want ink to go. And then I'm just going to use my blending brushes and a collection of these fabulous inks just to kind of lay down these paint strokes. So this is a really good alternative if you don't have paint or don't like working with paint. You can create that look with some simple ink blending. So this is a little delicate on the edges, but not too bad, and you really don't even need pixie spray, but it does help if you're concerned about that at all. It's absolutely an option for you. But what's really cool about this is you can kind of flip it over or upside down and kind of create a different look. So you could use the same little swipe and then just kind of make it look like it's not the same one or not so uniform just by moving it around. So I'm just choosing a few of the different options here on this 6x9 stencil and working through some colors, but you'll see on the final one I do end up using the same one that I used on the bottom. I just ended up flipping it upside down, so it did create a different look. And that red for some reason looks quite orange on the screen here, but it's actually like a really deep red. It's called peppermint scrub. So you can see here I flipped it upside down and it has a totally different look than the teal portion on the bottom of the card. So I'm just coming in with this rich mustardy yellow color and then with the orange on the edges, and you can see I really kind of messed up the blending there, but I'm not worried about it at all because the messier it looks, the more it looks like watercolor to me. And here I'm just doing some little water droplets, like just a little sprayer I have on my desk with perfect pearls in it. So this is twofold a design feature with the water reactive ink, but also to kind of saturate the paper a little bit just to help it really take this design. So spritzing your cardstock before these 3D embossing folders is always a good idea, but not necessary if you don't want to do that or you can't introduce water to it. So look at that amazing dimension. So this is a fun way to use your stencils and your embossing folders together to just really stretch your supplies and get a different look. You can see here I have the Frilly Peonies, and I have a different panel that I ink blended with the same stencil, but on this one I turned it to a vertical orientation. So the same thing, I'm just going to kind of load it up. Now this one I don't think I actually remembered to spray with water. So you can see it still works fine. And sometimes you do get cracking depending on the embossing folder and depending on the cardstock. So just bear that in mind and, you know, trial and error with your embossing machine and whatever pressures and things like that and see what works for you. But here I really wanted those peonies to stand out a little bit more, so I took my black blending brush and I didn't even add any ink to it. I just used the residual ink that was on there. It would have been either a black or a gray, and I'm just kind of lightly brushing that over. And there's so much height to these embossing folders that it's really easy to do that. If you want to give it a little something extra, go ahead and, you know, either with some blending foams or your blending brushes, you can really bring that 3D image to life just by kind of laying something on the top of it, and it's super easy to do with that really elevated texture from the embossing folders. So here I have some really sticky foam tape, and I'm just using that liberally on the back of these panels, and I'm attaching them to card bases. These are also A2 size 110-pound cardstock, and you can see there's a slight border around it. Here I'm going to shop my sentiment book to see what kind of sentiment or what these cards are going to end up being. So you can see this is how I store a bunch of my stuff and have it ready to go in advance. But this system really works for me because if you're familiar with my videos, then you know I make a lot of cards and I like to batch. So I have these things in this folder in these little baseball protector sheets, and I'll link those below as well with the other items used in case you're interested in shopping for those. but I chose these Perfect Sentiments from Pink Fresh Studios, and I'm just using some liquid Barely Art glue, and I'm just going to attach that right down onto this. I'm not adding any further dimension because I have quite a bit behind the panel itself, and I don't want it to sit up too high. So I'm just going to hold that down for a second, make sure it's nice and attached, just because of all that dimension from the embossing folder. You want to make sure it's got a good connection with the glue and the panel. So I'm basically just applying both of those, and that's going to finish these cards. I didn't even add any blingage. I didn't think it needed it. So this is just a fun, different way to use those embossing folders and combine them with your stencils. You get a different look, kind of depending on which angle you're looking at it. If you look at it dead on, you might notice the paint strokes. If you look at it from the side like this, you can really see that gorgeous floral popping right off the page. So just something different, fun way to use your supplies, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, and I'll check you next time. Thank you. Bye.